What's going on YouTube? It's your guy Darren, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. Fragrance and fashion is what we talk about on this channel. So if you mess with your boy, I'm happy you're looking good and smelling great, man. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And take another quick second, if you don't mind, to hit that bell icon as well. That way you get notified when I upload new content on the channel. On today's video, we're going to be talking about 10 addictive fragrances in my collection. And when I say addictive, I mean these are fragrances that I just cannot get enough of. I cannot stop smelling these fragrances. Some of them because they are newer acquisitions to the collection, and you know how we do. We have newer fragrances. Sometimes they, of course, tend to get a little bit more of our attention and love. But outside of that, they do have to smell good. So there's something just really intriguing about these fragrances. And again, I cannot stop smelling these fragrances. I noticed that, you know, even if I'm not wearing that fragrance for the day, if I go into my closet and I walk past my fragrances, these are some of the ones I just pick up and, you know, get a smell from the atomizer, or I might just spray it in the air to catch a nice whiff of it. Again, even if I'm not wearing it, these are those fragrances for me as of late. So this is going to be a fun video. So if you guys want to hear what 10 fragrances in my collection have been really addictive as of late, then you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. All right, guys, I'm back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in, man. Let's go ahead and jump right into this list of fragrances. As always, before I begin, I want to say, guys, some of the fragrances on the list that are a little bit more expensive, if you do want to try them, I recommend doing a sample. Scent Split is a great place to sample fragrances because you get a nice sample size of that fragrance. That way you can really try it out for yourself and see if it's something that you are going to like personally. Although I know most of you guys, of course, that follow my channel, you know, trust my recommendations, but again, it may not be 100%, of course, that you're gonna like everything that I like. So again, try these fragrances on scentsplit.com if you want to get a sample of any of the fragrances that I talk about today on this list. So let's go. All right, the first fragrance up on the list today, this one comes from the house of Diptyque, and this one is called Tam Dao. Tam Dao. And if you are a lover of sandalwood, then this is one that you have to put your nose on right here, man. Oh man, this is just so good. The sandalwood in this is so good. It's spicy and floral. So the opening is really floral, man. And then in the heart you get, of course, the sandalwood, which is a standout. But man, the dry down, when those spices start to come into play and you get a nice clean white musky dry down. Oh my God. This is just an addictive scent, man. Oh, it's so good, man. It's so good. If you like sandalwood, I highly recommend you getting your nose on Tam Dao from the house of Diptyque. This is sandalwood done right. So check this one out again from the house of Diptyque. This is called Tam Dao. All right, the next fragrance on this list, guys, comes from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, and this one is called L'Homme Le Parfum. L'Homme Le Parfum. And man, this is one, again, I've talked about this fragrance, but I have not found many people to talk about this fragrance. So my intrigue with this fragrance and it being so addictive to me may be partially spent trying to figure out why nobody else is talking about this fragrance. Because again, it's a new release, a newer release. It was released in the year of 2020. And usually with a house as popular as Yves Saint Laurent and the L'Homme line, you would think that this would have gotten a lot of notoriety and attention when it was released, but to me, it kind of flew under the radar. But man, I'm telling you, this thing gets a lot of compliments when I wear it. It's solid. I mean, maybe people are just kind of tired of fragrances when they think that it is another blue fragrance release. While this does have some, you know, some characteristics of a blue fragrance, it's different though. Geranium is in this. There's some ozonic notes as well. You just have to put your nose on this and try it. So if you never put your nose on it, it's one that I recommend you try from the house of Yves Saint Laurent. This one is called L'Homme Le Parfum. The next fragrance up on the list is a newer acquisition as well. And this one is from the house of Viktor and Rolf, and this is Spice Bomb Infrared. Spice Bomb Infrared. Now, I reviewed this fragrance recently, and man, I've talked about it, and I told you guys, it's just a very, very addictive scent. If you like the original Spice Bomb, again, imagine the original Spice Bomb a lot warmer and spicier. The spicy notes in this really amplified that cinnamon. So the cinnamon is the star player to me in this fragrance, and it's just a scent DNA that I'm really, really attracted to. I can't stop smelling this stuff right here, man. It smells absolutely fantastic. So check this one out. It's a new release from the house of Viktor and Rolf. This one is called Spice Bomb Infrared. All right, the next fragrance on the list comes from the house of Parfums de Marly, and this one is called Sedley. Sedley. When you think about the house of Parfums de Marly, oftentimes you don't really think about fresh fragrances, but this is a fresh fragrance release from the house of Parfums de Marly. And I will say this fragrance, along with Creed Viking, are two fragrances that really started to change my mind about the note of mint. I told you guys I reviewed Beach Hut Man from the house of Amouage, which has another fragrance that has a very, very prominent mint note. And I'm starting to really come around to the note. And this is one of the fragrances that really helped me, again, along with Creed Viking and now Beach Hut Man, to change my mind about the note of mint. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but man, this one again is another fragrance where mint is done right. And if I want to like a fragrance that has mint, it has to be done right. And those three fragrances to me are three of the best fragrances that highlight the note of mint. And I find this fragrance DNA right here to be very, very addictive. It's clean and fresh from the house of Parfums de Marly. This one is called Sedley. Right, guys, the next fragrance on this list comes from the house of Dolce & Gabbana, and this is the One Luminous Nights. This is another fragrance that's a little bit more of a newer release that I have done a full review on. This and Infrared, I'll link those videos down below so that you can check them out if you haven't seen the full reviews. But man, the intriguing note in this is that date note. So it's kind of like dates to me kind of come off like almond almost in a fragrance. But man, it just does something to this composition that's just so intriguing. And that's what this list is about for me. These are fragrances as of late that have really been addictive. I just really love coming to this one again, even if I'm not wearing this, picking it up and just really enjoying what I smell from the atomizer, man. This is a very addictive fragrance. Again, it's one that I highly enjoy. I know it's harder to get right now. Hopefully, sooner than later, this will become more readily available. But when you have a chance, guys, I highly recommend you at least get your nose on this one. From the house of Dolce & Gabbana, this is the One Luminous Nights. All right, the next fragrance on this list comes from the house of Nichane, and this one is called Eggy. This one is called Eggy, and again, this is another fragrance that to me has been kind of flying under the radar. Nobody really talks about this fragrance release from the house of Nichane, and this one is a more recent release. I want to say this one was released in 2020 as well, but man, it's just a really, really fresh fragrance. And what I love about this one, there's a yuzu note in here that really makes this DNA extremely unique. So this is another one that's very, very intriguing to me, and I just really love smelling this one. Man, if you like a fresh fragrance, again, this one is spicy, but this one also has mint, although it's not the star player. But listen, this one really, really works. It's an addictive fragrance that I love really smelling. From the house of Nichane, this one is called Eggy. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list comes from the house of Xerjoff, and this one is called Kobe. Xerjoff Kobe. Now, this is such an interesting fragrance, and again, that's why some of these are so intriguing. This fragrance opens up very floral and soapy. So you have petit grain in the opening of this. You have neroli. Neroli is the main note. And you also have, again, orange blossom. So it's really, really floral and soapy in the opening. But the contrast is when it really starts to dry down, you start to get all these heavier, darker resinous notes in this. Like you have tonka bean in this, you have some musk, you have styrax, benzoin. So it's a really, really, again, contrast. And that's what makes this fragrance so freaking interesting and intriguing. But it smells fantastic, man. Put your nose on this if you haven't. I really, really love this scent from the house of Xerjoff. This one is called Kobe. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list comes from the house of Amouage, and this one is called Honor Man. This one is called Honor Man, and this fragrance to me is by far the most slept on fragrance from the house of Amouage. Honestly, I will tell you guys, for the type of fragrances that I like, this is in my top 5 Amouage fragrances. It is very, very spicy and peppery up top. There's pink pepper in this, and there's another kind of pepper. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But after you get past that spicy opening, man, it's just very, very clean. It's a very, very clean fragrance. And that may be why other people don't really respond to this or talk about this one as much, because it's not really the typical fragrance that you would expect from the house of Amouage, because they're usually a little bit more challenging, and you get a lot of the incense, of course, which is what they are really known for. That's not really what this scent is, but it's a very gentlemanly fragrance from the house. To me, it's one of the more easier to wear fragrances from the house of Amouage, with the exception of Reflection, man. But man, this is a very addictive scent DNA. I love it. When I wear this, I just really love going back to my wrist all day long and smelling this stuff, man. I love it. From the house of Amouage, this is called Honor Man. All right, the next fragrance on this list, guys, again, a newer acquisition to the collection. This is Bond No. 9 off Broadway. Bond No. 9 off Broadway. And what I will say about this one is, because I have a full review, so I'm not really going into more about the notes and stuff like that. But what I will say about this fragrance is this: the more I wear this fragrance, the more addictive it becomes. I don't know what it is, man, but it's something about this fragrance that I'm definitely drawn to. It's very addictive. I love smelling this stuff. With the wearing of this fragrance, as it starts to go from the opening to the mid to the dry down, it gets better and better and better as this fragrance dries down, and it is a beast mode performance. I get 10 plus hours of performance of this easy. An addictive fragrance from the house of Bond No. 9. This one is called Off Broadway. All right, guys, and the last fragrance on this list, definitely not the least fragrance, comes from the house of Initial Parfums, and this one is called Oud for Greatness. Oud for Greatness. This has been in my collection now for about a month, and man, it is as good as advertised. There was a lot of hype surrounding this fragrance, and I will confirm, for anybody that was not a believer yet, the hype is real with Oud for Greatness, man. It's just a beautiful scent, and it definitely is an addictive scent. So again, I highly recommend you check this one out if you haven't. Again, I know Scent Split does have this one as well. Check it out, man. From the house of Initial Parfums, this is called Oud for Greatness. Guys, that's it. That's my time. I hope you enjoyed this video today, as I gave you 10 addictive fragrances in my collection that I cannot stop smelling. As always, I appreciate your time and attention to these videos, because of course I know you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here with me, and I sincerely appreciate that. Now don't forget, if you don't mind, to take a few moments to like, comment, and subscribe, and go ahead and share these videos out to some other folks that you think could use this information or find me entertaining, because I'm your guy, Darian, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.